What's the worst case of injustice you've seen? In high school, I had this history teacher, Mrs. Caldwell, who straight up ran her classroom like a dictatorship. She had her favorites, mainly the rich kids whose parents donated to the school. And then there was the rest of us. If your last name wasn't on a plaque somewhere, you were invisible. I was definitely in the everyone else group. She played it subtle most days, calling only on the same 5 students, laughing a little too hard at their jokes, letting their late assignments slide. But when it came to grading, she didn't even try to hide the bias. One semester, we had this huge research project that counted for 40% of our final grade. It was supposed to be a deep dive paper on any US historical topic of our choice. I picked PTSD and Vietnam War veterans. I spent weeks on it, interviewed 2 vets at the local VA, read actual medical journals, and cited everything. It was the best work I'd done all year. Meanwhile, Blake Thompson, the golden boy whose dad sat on the school board, turned in 3 crumpled pages that looked like they were written the night before. No sources, no citations, just bolded titles and random facts. It looked like a middle school report at best. Grades came back. Blake A+. Me C-. Mrs. Caldwell's comment on mine lacks academic rigor. I went up to her after class and calmly asked what part specifically needed work. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should be grateful you passed it all." Nah, that wasn't going to fly. Next day, I stayed after class again, but this time I recorded our conversation. I asked why my grade was so low. She got defensive, then let it slip. "I didn't read past your first page." I could tell where it was going. Boom. Caught. Then I did some digging. I Googled a few phrases from Blake's paper. Not only was it sloppy, it was almost entirely plagiarized from a Wikipedia article. Word for word, no edits, just copied, pasted, and printed. So I put it all together. My paper, the plagiarism receipts, the audio clip, and went to the principal. Thought he'd at least hear me out. Nope. He smiled, nodded, then hit me with, "Well, these things happen. Let's all try to move forward." That night, I emailed everything to every member of the school board. And just to make sure they couldn't sweep it under the rug, I also said the local newspaper. They'd run fluff pieces on the school before. I figured it was time for some real reporting. 2 days later, I got called into the principal's office. He was furious, slammed the door, waved around a copy of the email, said I'd embarrassed the school. I didn't say much, just sat there and waited. Later that afternoon, the newspaper posted a front-page story, "Favoritism and Grading. Local student blows the whistle." It blew up. Parents started calling the school. Teachers started checking their grade books twice. By the end of the week, Mrs. Caldwell was placed on administrative leave, and the district announced an independent audit of all her grades that semester. Turns out I wasn't the only one who'd been shortchanged. 3 other students came forward with similar stories. One kid had gotten a D on a paper that was later reviewed and raised to a B+ after a proper redraw. The whole school was buzzing for weeks. Mrs. Caldwell never came back. Official word was that she retired early, but everyone knew she got pushed out. Fast forward 3 years, graduation ceremony for my little cousin. I'm sitting in the stands and guess who I see 2 rows down? Blake Thompson. Still cocky, still wearing a backwards cap indoors. We made eye contact. He gave me this half smile and said, "Long time." I said, "Oh, how's college?" He laughed kind of bitter and said, "Dropped out after first semester. Professors didn't exactly hand out A's." I just nodded and said, "Yeah, that academic rigor hits different when someone actually reads your work." Injustice isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, tucked into red ink on a paper, the silence of a classroom, or the smirk of someone who knows the system is rigged in their favor. For me, the worst case of injustice I ever witnessed happened in high school, inside a history classroom ruled by Mrs. Caldwell. She wasn't the kind of teacher who yelled or threw things across the room. No, her weapon of choice was favoritism. The kind that cuts you without leaving a mark. If your parents' names were on plaques in the hallway, if they donated to the school or sat on the board, you were golden. She called on you, laughed at your half jokes, let your late work slide. But if you were one of the rest of us, the invisible majority, you might as well not exist. I lived in that shadow. I wasn't failing. But no matter how hard I worked, my grades always seemed to scrape the floor compared to hers and her kids. Then came the research project. 40% of our grade. A monster assignment meant to test everything we'd learned all year. We could choose any US historical topic. I picked PTSD in Vietnam War veterans. I poured myself into that paper. Weeks of late nights in the library, reading old journals, combing through medical studies. I even interviewed 2 veterans at the local VA. Listening to their voices shake when they described nightmares that hadn't stopped in 40 years changed the way I saw history. This wasn't just homework anymore. It was real. It mattered. Meanwhile, Blake Thompson, the golden boy himself, whose dad sat on the school board, scribbled 3 crumpled pages the night before it was due. No sources, no citations, just bolded titles and half-formed thoughts stolen straight from memory. Or so I thought. When the grades came back, I actually stopped breathing for a second. Blake, A+. Me. See, on the margin of mine, Mrs. Caldwell had scrawled, "Lacks academic rigor." Academic rigor? I had medical journals, first-hand interviews, and detailed analysis. Blake had 3 pages of trash. My hands shook when I approached her desk. I asked politely, what specifically needed more rigor? She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should be grateful you passed it all." I walked away with my ears burning. That wasn't an answer. That was dismissal. The next day, I stayed after class again. This time, I had my phone recording in my pocket. My voice was steady when I asked again, why was my grade so low? Her mask slipped. Defensive, annoyed, she blurted it out. I didn't read past your first page. I could tell where it was going. Boom. Caught. I went home that night boiling with anger, but also cold with clarity. I started digging. A simple Google search of Blake's paper was all it took. Line after line matched a Wikipedia article word for word. No paraphrasing, no edits. Just straight copy-paste, so I built my case. My research paper. Screenshots of the Wikipedia article. The audio file of her confession. I thought, this is airtight. No one can ignore this. I walked into the principal's office the next morning with a folder in my hand. I laid it all out in front of him. Every piece of evidence. I expected shock. Maybe even anger on my behalf. Instead, he smiled politely, leaned back in his chair and said, well, these things happen. Let's all try to move forward. That was the moment I realized the system was never going to protect me. It was built to protect them, so I went around the system. That night, I emailed everything. Every document, every screenshot, the audio file, to every single member of the school board. And just to make sure it didn't get buried, I CC'd the local newspaper. 2 days later, the story hit the front page. Headline, Favoritism and Grading. Local student blows the whistle. The school erupted. Parents started calling. Teachers started double-checking their gradebooks, suddenly aware they might be next under the microscope. Students whispered in the halls, some coming up to thank me, others just staring like I'd done the unthinkable. By the end of the week, Mrs. Caldwell was on administrative leave. The district announced an independent audit of her grading. Turns out I wasn't the only one. 3 other students came forward with similar stories. One kid's D was changed to a B+ after a proper read-through. Mrs. Caldwell never came back. The official word was that she retired early, but everyone knew the truth. She'd been pushed out. Justice, right? Maybe. But here's the part I'll never forget. 3 years later, I was sitting in the stands at my cousin's graduation. Scanning the crowd, I locked eyes with Blake Thompson, 2 rows down. Still cocky, still wearing his backwards cap indoors. He leaned over and smirked. Long time. I raised an eyebrow and asked casually, "So how's college?" That smile faltered. His voice dropped bitter. "Dropped out after first semester." Professors didn't exactly hand out A's. I just nodded. "Yeah." That academic rigor hits different when someone actually reads your work. For the first time, Blake didn't have a comeback. And for me, that silence was the real ending. Story. My wife said, "I'm taking the kids to my mother's for good." "Don't follow us," I replied. "Drive safe." Then I called my lawyer and froze our joint assets. When she tried to use her cards at the gas station 200 millimeters away, reality hit hard. I, 35 male, am sitting in my empty house, kids' toys still scattered around, trying to process what just went down. My wife, Bianca, 33, just tried to kidnap our children. Yeah, I'm using that word because that's what my lawyer called it. Been married 9 years, 2 kids, Luna 7 and Oscar 5. I work in logistics management, make about 85K. Bianca works part-time as a dental hygienist, brings in maybe 30. Not wealthy, but we manage. We're managed. Things have been rocky for about a year. Not going to lie and say I'm perfect. I work long hours. Probably don't help enough with the kids, but we were in counseling working on it. Or so I thought. Yesterday morning, I wake up to Bianca packing the kids' stuff. Big suitcases, toys, everything. What's going on? I asked. She didn't even look at me. I'm taking the kids to my mother's for the weekend. For good. This isn't working. The kids need stability. Wait, what? We need to talk about this. She finally looked at me cold as ice. There's nothing to talk about. I'm their mother. I know it's best. Don't follow us. Bianca, you can't just take our kids. Watch me and don't try anything stupid. My mom's boyfriend is a cop. Her mom lives 400 miles away in another state. The boyfriend's security guard at a mall, but whatever. Luna came running up excited. Daddy, we're going to Grandma's. That's nice, sweetheart. Kept my voice calm. Kissed both kids goodbye. Told them I love them. Bianca loaded them in her SUV. Looked at me one more time. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Drive safe, I said. She seemed surprised I wasn't fighting. Smirked and drove off. The second her car turned the corner, I called my lawyer. Not the nice family lawyer we used for our wills. The shark my divorce coworker recommended, Dexter Dex Morrison. She took the kids and says she's not coming back. I explained. Did she say where? Her mother's different state. Stop talking. Office now. Bring every financial document you have. Within 2 hours we'd filed. Emergency custody motion. Parental kidnapping report. Crossing state lines without custody agreement. Motion to freeze joint assets. She can't empty accounts while stealing kids. The judge signed the asset freeze immediately. All our joint accounts frozen. Credit cards linked to joint accounts suspended. Can't touch them without court approval. What about her personal card? I asked Dex. Is it tied to your joint accounts for payment? Yeah, auto pay from joint checking. Then it's frozen too. She'll find out when she tries to use it. 3 hours after she left, I get a call. Unknown number. What did you do? Bianca screaming. Where are you? At a gas station. My cards aren't working. The kids are hungry. Are you about 200 m away? Off the interstate. How did you? Your phone location is still sharing with me. Forgot to turn that off, didn't you? Silence. Come home, Bianca. With the kids. We'll work this out properly. I'm not coming back. My mom will wire me money. Sure, but you should know there's an emergency custody hearing Monday morning. If you're not there, it won't go well for you. You can't do this. I didn't do anything. You took our children across state lines without my consent and without a custody agreement. The court did this. She hung up. That was yesterday. This morning she called again. Update 1. The entitlement has reached astronomical levels. Bianca made it to her mother's house using money her mom wired. But that's where her plan fell apart. Dex had worked fast. By the time she arrived, the local police had already been notified about the parental kidnapping report. They couldn't arrest her. No custody order yet, but they made it clear she was on their radar. Monday's emergency hearing was beautiful. Bianca appeared via video link, thinking she'd cleverly avoided coming back. Judge Hammond was not amused. Mrs. Thornton, you unilaterally removed the children from their home, school, and father without any legal authority. Explain yourself. I'm their mother. I know what's best for them. That's not how this works. Mr. Thornton has equal parental rights, but he works all the time. I'm the primary caregiver. Dex presented my case. Steady job, family home, kids' school, and friends all here. Bianca had her mom's house and entitlement. Judge's temporary order. Kids to be returned within 48 hours. Temporary 50-50 custody pending full hearing. Bianca can't remove kids from the county without written consent. Joint assets remain frozen until division determined. Bianca lost it. This is sexist. Mothers always get the kids. Not when they kidnap them, Judge Hammond replied. But here's where Bianca doubled down. Instead of bringing the kids back, she enrolled Luna in school there. Posted on social media about starting fresh and protecting my babies from their toxic father. I screenshot everything. Wednesday, she called crying. Please unfreeze the accounts. I need money for the kids. Bring them home first. I can't. I already told everyone here we're staying. That's not my problem. Her mother Gladys called next. How dare you financially abuse my daughter? How dare your daughter kidnap my children? She's their mother and I'm their father. Equal rights. Remember, you're traumatizing those babies by wanting them home in their own beds at their school. She called me words I won't repeat. Thursday morning, Dex called. She just filed for emergency spousal support and full custody in her mom's state. Can she do that? She can try. Won't work. Our state has jurisdiction. Kids lived here their whole lives. but it shows she's not planning to comply with the court order. So what now? Now we file for contempt. She's violating a direct court order. That's jail time. I don't want her in jail. I just want my kids back. Then she better bring them back. I called Bianca. You have 24 hours to bring the kids home, or Dex files contempt charges. You wouldn't dare. You traumatize our kids by having their mother arrested. You're traumatizing them by ripping them from their lives. 24 hours. She hung up. 20 hours later, she pulled into our driveway. Kids ran out hugging me. Luna was crying. Daddy, I missed you. Mom said we were never coming back. Oscar wouldn't let go of my leg. Bianca stood there, arms crossed. Happy now? I'm happy my kids are home. This isn't over. You're right. See you at the full custody hearing. Update 2. Bianca's been living at her friend Carmela's apartment since returning. Gets the kids every other week per the temporary order, but she's been playing dirty. First, she told the kids I was the reason they couldn't stay at Grandma's. Luna came home asking why I hate Grandma. Had to explain that I love Grandma, but kids need to stay where they live, go to school, have friends. Then she tried to turn the school against me. Told Luna's teacher I was financially controlling and to call her if they needed anything for Luna. Teacher called me confused. The emergency contact lists still had me as primary. But the real manipulation came through money. Even with the assets frozen, she had her part-time income. Started buying the kids expensive stuff during her weeks. New iPads, bikes, toys, everything they mentioned wanting. Oscar came home saying, Mom's house is more fun. She buys us stuff. I stayed calm. That's nice, buddy. We have fun here too, right? Yeah, but Mom says you're mean with money. Called Dex. She's trying to buy them. Document everything. Judge won't like parental alienation. The full custody hearing was set for next month. Bianca hired Regina Winters, known for playing dirty in custody cases. Regina's first move, filing a motion claiming I was economically abusing Bianca by keeping assets frozen. The hearing for that was yesterday. Regina argued Bianca needed access to funds for the children. Dex countered with Bianca's credit card statements from her personal account. $3,000 in 2 weeks on toys and unnecessary items. Your Honor, she's trying to buy the children's affection while claiming poverty, Dex stated. Judge Hammond reviewed the statements. Mrs. Thornton seems to have sufficient funds for a $400 rainbow unicorn playset. The children needed enrichment activities, Regina argued. They have a swing set at Mr. Thornton's house, Dex noted. Motion denied, assets stay frozen. After court, Bianca confronted me. You're destroying our family. You destroyed it when you tried to kidnap our kids. I was protecting them from what? From growing up in a loveless home. So, your solution was to traumatize them. Regina pulled her away, but not before Bianca said, I'll make sure you never see them again. Dex heard that. Thank you for the ammunition, Mrs. Thornton. Last night, I tucked Luna in. She asked, Daddy, why does Mom say you're trying to take us away? I'm not, sweetheart. I just want you to have both parents. Mom says she should have us all the time because she's the mom. What do you think? She thought about it. I love you both. I don't want to choose. You don't have to. That's why judges help figure it out. Mom says, judges are mean to moms. The poisoning runs deep, but I'm documenting everything. Update 3. Everything exploded this week. Bianca's desperation hit new levels. She filed a false CPS report, claiming I was neglecting the kids. Said I leave them home alone. Never happened. Don't feed them properly. They eat better than I do. And the house is unsafe. CPS showed up Tuesday. I was at work. Kids at school. Call Dex immediately. Let them inspect. Be cooperative. You have nothing to hide. Inspector walked through the house. Fully stocked fridge. Clean rooms. Safety gates still up from when Oscar was younger. Forgot to remove them. She checked with the school. Kids always arrive clean, fed, homework done. Mr. Thornton, this appears to be a custody dispute weapon. I've seen it before. The report will reflect no concerns. But Bianca wasn't done. Thursday, she picked the kids up for her weekend and didn't take them to school. Monday, school called me. Mrs. Thornton said they were sick and she's keeping them for extended care. Called Bianca. No answer. Called Gladys. They're fine. Bianca's taking care of them. She's violating the custody order again. Oh, please. She's their mother. Dex filed emergency contempt charges. Judge Hammond was done. Mrs. Thornton, this is your second violation. Return the children immediately or face arrest. But they're sick. Then provide medical documentation. She couldn't because they weren't sick. Kids returned that evening.
Luna told me Mom said they were having a mental health week. Yesterday was the big custody hearing.
4 hours of testimony. Bianca's attorney argued I was controlling and absent. Dex presented CPS report clearing me. School attendance records.
Kids missed 6 days during her weeks, 0 during mine.
Police reports from the kidnapping attempt. Testimonies from teachers about the kids' stability. Bank records showing I'd paid 100% of kids' expenses for 3 months while assets were frozen. Then Dex played as ace. Your Honor, we'd like to submit Mrs. Thornton's social media posts. Regina objected. Overruled. Post after post about Mama Bear protecting cubs.
Fathers who weaponize courts. And my favorite.
A photo of the kids at her mom's with the caption, Where we belong. Away from toxic influence. Judge Hammond looked at Bianca. Mrs. Thornton, you've shown repeated disregard for court orders, attempted parental alienation, and false accusations. You're clearly not prioritizing the children's stability, the ruling primary custody to me. Bianca gets every other weekend supervised for first 3 months. She pays child support based on state calculator assets unfrozen, but she must pay my legal fees from her portion. She cannot remove children from county without written consent. Must complete parenting classes.
Bianca screamed.
Actually screamed in court. You can't take my babies.
I'm not taking them, Mrs. Thornton. I'm ensuring they have stability. Your actions have consequences.
Regina tried to calm her. Bianca pushed her away.
This is your fault. You said I'd win.
Had to be escorted out by security. Final update.
It's been 3 months since the custody ruling.
Time to close this chapter.
Bianca fought the ruling for about a month. Filed appeals. Claimed bias. Even tried to get Judge Hammond recused. All denied.
Reality finally hit when the first child support payment was due. $450 a month. Not much, but to someone living on 30 Cala who just had to pay $8,000 in legal fees, it stung. She moved back in with Gladys. The supervised visit started rough. She spent the first one crying, telling the kids how unfair everything was. Supervisor shut that down quick. Second visit, she tried to quiz them about my house, my schedule, if I had any new friends.
Supervisor reported it all. By the 3rd month, something shifted. Not maturity. Bianca doesn't do personal growth, but practicality. She realized fighting was expensive and futile.
The kids have adjusted. Luna stopped asking why Mom was mad at me. Oscar stopped crying at exchanges. They're in therapy, court ordered for both, and the therapist says they're doing well. Last week was interesting. Bianca called about Oscar's birthday next month. Can I take him to dinner?
Just me and him supervised. Yes, I know the rules then. Yes. Thank you. Pause. Rex, I still think you're wrong, but I want to see my kids.
That's all I wanted too, Bianca.
For them to have both parents.
You won. Nobody won, but the kids are safe and stable.
That's what matters.
She hung up without another word.
Gladys still sends me nasty texts monthly.
I don't respond. Carmamella apparently told people I'm abusive. I don't care. The truth is in court documents. My favorite moment came last month. Luna had a school project about heroes. She wrote about me.
Not because I'm perfect, but because Daddy makes sure we're safe and loves us even when things are hard.
Bianca saw it at the school display.
The supervisor said she stared at it for a long time, then walked away without commenting. My lawyer fees totaled $12,000. Bianca's were $8,000 plus my fees. The asset division gave her $35,000 from our savings.
After legal fees, she had $15,000 left. She'd started with the plan to take everything and the kids, ended with less than half, and supervised weekends. The house is quieter during her weekends. I use the time to meal prep, clean, and honestly just breathe. Dating isn't even on my radar. My kids need stability, not more chaos. Bianca's supervised period ends next month. Dex says she'll probably petition for more time eventually. Maybe she'll get it if she keeps following rules.
Maybe not. That's for future courts to decide.
Last night, tucking Oscar in, he said, Daddy, Mom seemed sad last time. Sometimes adults get sad, buddy. Is it my fault? Never. Adult problems are never kids' fault.
Mom used to say you made her sad.
What do you think now?
He shrugged.
I think Mom makes herself sad. 5-year-old wisdom. I'm not sharing this for sympathy or validation.
Just want other parents to know.
Document everything. Don't retaliate.
Just respond legally. Courts care about kids' stability, not gender.
And sometimes, when someone says they're taking your kids and leaving, the right response really is just drive safe, followed immediately by calling a lawyer.
The gas station, where her cards declined.
She had to call Gladys to wire money while the kids waited in the car.
Confused why they couldn't get snacks, the employee later told me. Small world.
That Bianca threw her declined cards at the register and screamed about financial abuse while her kids watched.
That's the thing about consequences.
They don't care about your entitlement.
They just are. Edit. Since people are asking, yes, she tried to drain the accounts the morning she left. The freeze had already kicked in. The $3,000 she spent on toys, personal credit card her mom co-signed.
That bill's causing fights now. And no, I don't hate Bianca. I nothing her.
She's just the person I have to co-parent with for the next 13 years.
The kids love her, so I support that relationship, but I'll never trust her again.